Yeah, he seems confident. Well, you would think so, wouldn't you? If they've already given the position, that he must have done reasonably well in the interview and showed some competence. But I think he's a bit naive, thinking that Leicester's a place of reward for people, whether they'll go there and the stadium's it's a bit open, it's not intimidating. But
the narrative is going to be
because they've got one or two players who played in the Premier League last season.
The narrative is going to be, when was the last time someone that won the Premier League got relegated? Blackburn Rovers, but notwithstanding that, in recent times, you've got a recent Premier League champion sitting in the Championship.
I don't think just by seeing maybe a replica of the trophy or a few pictures as you walk through the halls of Leicester as a Championship player that you would then go, oh my God, we really want to beat them today.
Well, he's right.
I think you're more likely to really want to go. I think this is my personal experience, you're more likely to go, I really want to beat you today because we're away at Leeds, the stadium's full and this is brilliant.
But psychological, isn't it? He's trying to big up the club. He's giving the team
let's excuse his second language, right? And look at the reality of the fact that they're a relegated Premier League club. So when you're playing a relegated Premier League club, whose expectations are you're going to bounce back, there's going to be an element of the teams that go to Leicester City
this will be tough
against former Premier League champions are going to be motivated by that occasion because it's Leicester City expected to win the league alongside Leeds United. So all of the three Premier League clubs that got relegated are going to be the games that most of the sides in the division, if you're Millwall, with due respect, if you're Preston, if you're Queen's Park Rangers, if you're Hull City, if you're Huddersfield, you're going to be going to those games thinking these are the big sides in the league. That's the point he's making. So the level of expectation, both internally from the Leicester fans as to what they're going to expect from their team, externally from the opposition, preparing to play against a side who would be expected to be a team that bounces back. Now, 5 games into the season, Leicester haven't won a game, and the dynamic of that will change.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he wants to raise the level of the spirit in the club because actually, you and I both went there towards the end of the last season. It was lower than a snake's belly. It was a difficult place to go and watch football. We went there. I think we saw them 4 consecutive Monday nights, and it was a club that was really struggling to find its reason for being again. The idea that he's going to play in the same way as Pep Guardiola, he says, is a process. But do you think that this idea of playing like Pep Guardiola has become sort of a national obsession now? Everyone's got to play the same way.
Well, it's become a healthy narrative. I think a lot of managers are trying to play more possession-based, more technical football, which is a good thing aesthetically. And the key to it is knowing what strengths and weaknesses you have in your squad and also being able to adapt. You can't just play one way unless you've got the best players. And that's factual. You can't. You have to have the best players in your division to play one style and stick to it. You've got to be able to adapt otherwise because you'll always finish second.
City changed though, don't they? City changed. They changed when they were in Europe.
They might change formation and tweak it, but they don't change philosophy, which is playing.
I mean, what is when we say?
Well, he does. He goes long sometimes, the keeper, but that's not because he's in Europe. That's because he's an intelligent footballer.
Okay. When we say play the Pep Guardiola way, what do we mean by that? Because what I think we mean by it,
he means dominate the ball,
keep the ball, because I think that's a logical thing. If you've got the ball, the other side can't hurt you. I assume people mean playing out from the back, but choosing the right pass is probably a better outcome.
Yeah.
And getting players to improve. That what I would think are the definitions of the Pep Guardiola way, and that's what you should want
anyway.
Any coach. So when we get this fascination of alighting upon playing the Pep Guardiola way, it's simply he doesn't compromise. If David De Gea was playing for Manchester City,
he's done.
But if he were, he wouldn't. You know, remember we had in a game against Sevilla where David De Gea couldn't play out from the back, right? And so the next time he came on the pitch, he played long, and everyone went, he's just going back to type. That would not have been allowed under Pep Guardiola. It'd have made David De Gea to be able to play out from the back.
Yeah.
And that's what Pep Guardiola is prepared to do. He's prepared to go to the point where players understand that they're the ones that have got to improve. They're the ones that have got to adapt. And that's what every manager should want to do relative to the appointment he makes.
Yeah, I was going to say, relative to where you are in the food chain as well, because ultimately it's very easier to do it at Manchester than it is at Leicester City.
But it's all relative to the player you've got in front of you. If you've got a player sitting over there that's played for XYZ clubs, won XYZ medals on $300,000 a week, or you've got a player over here that's a championship player that's on £10,000 a week, the methodology of communication is different, but the outcome can be the same because you've got his attention. because you're dealing with a player that has a different level of attention that's required to a £300,000 a week championship winning international footballer.
One of the great examples of playing good football and getting out of the championship was Vincent Company in Burnley last year.
Swansea years ago. I watched
thing,
Swansea play the same way, and it takes great belief. There's a bit of an not ignorance. I think it's an easy option for some managers to say, I don't have the players to play. Well, that's not quite true. Most players are reasonably capable if you work hard enough at it, and I've given the options. But it's going to be fascinating to see how Leicester do, because they have lost some, or they are losing good players.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.